travel to St Sebastian's August from
In case you're wondering what's going on, the big news of the day is Ruben's not eating for a change. So we're at the Bournemouth Airshow, and that's hence all the boats and the typhoon, Eurofighter typhoon that just went over. Sadly, the video that we shot of him coming over our head, that didn't work out, but it was good nevertheless. Nice westerly there, westerly consort for the looks of things. Yeah, so you can imagine, this is obviously my idea of heaven. A handful of sailboats with all these Gin Palace powerboats. A handful of sailboats. Bizarrely, all of the sailboats that I can see are all westerlies except for one. Not that I'm on a westerly, I'm on a Moody, but 11 Point is a westerly. Ooh, how long did that take you?
Like 10 minutes.
Well done, Ruth. Jet ski is getting its trouble in a busy anchorage. Well, that's good to know. You reckon he's going to get told? Anyway, that was quite nice. That was a P-51. So they were P-51 and a Supermarine Spitfire. But yeah, it's nice to see the jet skiers getting told off. Oh, someone got into trouble. Ruben's feeling a bit undone by. He was down below and I told him I was going to confiscate his phone and gave him a bit of a lecture. But anyway, yes, I think it's important to impress. Sorry, I got pans going on. I think it's important to impress on the kids of today why it's important to recognize our history. You know, especially these P-51s, the Spitfires, the Lancaster bombers, and all these kind of cool Second World War airplanes that we get to enjoy today in this kind of setting. Because if it wasn't for those guys, sorry, they're getting a massive steep dive right above us. Hold on. Oh, that was cool. It was too far away to get it, but I had a steep dive. You could hear the limiter being hit, whistling. But yeah, I think it's important for kids to realize that the freedoms that they enjoy today are as a result of the sacrifice that was made by those pilots and the soldiers. Yeah, Rubes?
School reminds us like once a week.
Yes, and it's important, Rubes. Just because you hear a story regularly, it doesn't make it less important, okay?
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Your granddad and people like him, right? And granddad on Granny Trixie's side, you know, they all were there, right? Just because you hear a story regularly, it doesn't make it less important. Yeah? I was just explaining to Ruben some of the design differences between the P-51 and the Spitfire. The Spitfire was exceptional on account of the fact that it had that amazing Merlin engine and some really, really advanced aerodynamics for the time, so it was super slippery through the air. They followed some very classic design principles. The wings were further forward and the apex of the top surface of the wing, the aerofoil was also further forward, for fairly classic designs, whereas the P-51 was exceptional in the fact that it broke the mold. Rubes, you listening, boy? Yeah. That it sort of broke the mold from a design point of view. They set the wings further back in the plane, and they also moved the apex of the wing further back as well, which was contrary to the sort of common thinking at the time, but it made for an exceptionally maneuverable and agile plane. So two different approaches to the same kind of thing that had dramatic effects on how they could compete in the kind of environments they could compete in. So that was pretty cool, right? if you can see that, that's a fairy swordfish. They were fairly revolutionary at the time, although there's only 10 years difference between, not even 10 years difference between that and the P-51s and the Spitfires. So they were regarded as highly maneuverable back in the day, used for delivering torpedoes. Wherever I lost it now. Anyway. So that thing was considered highly maneuverable in its day. Actually racked up an impressive number of kills. Warships, battleships, cruisers, destroyers, sunk a whole number of those things back in the day. But yeah, difficult. It's incredible to consider that in less than 10 years they went from doing 120 miles an hour to doing, twice that, 3 times that speed, whatever the Spitfires were capable of doing. Yeah, it's amazing. And that's not long after flight was first kind of invented, worked out, discovered by the Wright brothers. So yeah, pretty incredible. And if you could see, he had a torpedo slung under the belly. But wouldn't it be cool, Shane, for if they actually delivered that as part of the show? Maybe took out that Sunseeker to our left here.
The red arrows.
This is half of what we came for. So the kids are comparing. Ruben steady. The kids are comparing who's done the best bouncing. So anyway, so that
I have.
yes, Ruben has. So anyway, so that experimenting yesterday with the flying a mainsail without a boom turns out is not actually so revolutionary. There's loads of people that do that. In fact, Warham, the catamarans, I think they I don't know how noisy that is in the background, hopefully not too noisy. So apparently they do it as well. So they're actually designed to do that. They don't use booms. So anyway, so this is one of the little girls who came sailing with us today for the Bournemouth Airshow. So the daughter of one of my guests. A little 5-year-old, but she's super precocious and pretty smart actually. She'll make a good crew member one day. But yeah, so that video about the flying without a boom, if your gooseneck fails, for example, hopefully that gives you an idea that all is not lost. So if you lose the integrity of your boom at sea and all you got is your mast standing, your boom is off to the side, there is a way that you can actually fly your main without needing your boom in the first place. Ideally on a sloop, your clue would be attached further aft, but you can do it. If you're way off to sea, you'd probably be going downwind anyway. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave us a comment, subscribe, like, all that kind of stuff, and to show me pictures of whether you've ever flown your mainsail without a boom. Ah! Hello, Rubes.
Hello.
Parent abuser. It's me eating this time. I stole that from Ruben. Anyway, good morning. Well, actually, it's afternoon. We were meant to be out with a bunch of people today, but through a combination of various things, oversleeping, drinking too much, dog's sick, whatever, we're not sailing. It's just Ruben and me, a dad and his dude and his dog. Sky's down below, I think. Yeah, she's down below. So anyway, Ruben and I have an opportunity now to try something that I've been wanting to try for a while. So somebody kindly donated this head sail to us. It's from a smaller boat. So it's kind of reefed, if you like. So it's slightly smaller. The luff is slightly smaller than the 10-meter luff that I normally have. So anyway, as you'll notice, my boom is off to starboard side, and there's no boom flying this mainsail. So the reason I wanted to try this was for safety reasons mainly, because there's two things on a boat that can kill you. The one is below deck and the other one is above deck, and the one that's above deck is the boom. So I think people die every year. There was a guy that died last year in October in the Ark when they had a crash jibe and the boom hit him in the temple. So anyway, so the other thing is that this is a ketch, which means that the mast is stepped a little bit further forward than normal. The mast is also 2 meters shorter than the sloop, and because it normally flies a mizzen, so the sheet angle is actually rather perfect for doing the classic 50% bisecting the luff. And so we thought we'd give it a try. There's not much wind today, but it is working. So we've got the wind kind of after the beam, so we're on a broad reach at the moment, and classic head sail setup, so nothing unusual there. A regular square cut head sail at the bottom, and so we're somewhat mirroring that on the on the port side with this main. So ideally I'd have a new sail made up for this, but given this one was free, this works for now. But I think I'm actually going to sort of think seriously about actually having a main made up in the style of a jib, or try different jibs, because I think we could eliminate those crinkles over there. Might just be that the sail's old. So there's only about 4 knots of wind at the moment, which is a little bit light. But we had about 10 knots a second ago, and we were trucking along at about 4.5, 5 knots through the water, which was quite nice. But we are making way. We're definitely making way. So the place we started was all the way back there. That's Southampton. We didn't motor most of the way. We motored to in line with the cruise ship in the distance over there. This is a ferry. So we motored down to there and then flew the head sail and the main in this configuration since then. So we've actually made way pretty well, actually. Yeah, so there's a few things that would have to get worked out. So for example, if you were to put in a reef, so you see this first reef is quite deep. There's only one reefing point in here. So if you were to put in a reef, how do you do that? Or is it a case of actually, if you needed to reef, down the main entirely and actually put up a smaller main? At the moment, this one's on kind of first reef anyway, that I would expect to have as a first reef. But I think the clue is not strengthened enough in order to handle the forces that it would be subjected to. So it would need to be way stronger, a little bit like that jib over there, so much stronger. But nevertheless, as a concept, I think that works. So this is looking straight down the centre line of the boat, obviously looking aft, and what you can see is that I've only got one sheet attached to this, so it's only the working sheet at the moment. We're not expecting to put in a tack or a jibe. So I haven't set it up for the other side, which I will do next, but only when I've worked out a different way of actually taking the boom somewhat out of commission, not taking it off until I've actually made a decision on this, but certainly taking it out of commission so that I could actually test the tacking and jibing. Otherwise, the way to run the lazy sheet at the moment would be across the inside of the topping lift over the boom and then back to the transom over there. So that way, should we want to put in a jibe, then we could actually just do that automatically. I suspect that the sheets could be rather short. However, it all still needs to be worked out. But yes, that's the idea, is that the sheet would run across there, and sort of over the boom at the moment, assuming the boom leaves there. If I drop the boom down on the coach roof, then that helps with that. But yeah, so over there, the boom, the sail comes across, and then it flies on the starboard side, no problem. That gives you an idea of how little wind there is. I don't know what those guys are doing. I think they're flying there. I think they're running. But they seem to be going in more or less the same direction as us. But yeah, they're flying their head sail on the starboard side and their mainsail on the port side. So yeah, it's a busy day in the Solent. We've had a few ships come in and out. There's a couple of cruise ships up in Southampton. My trusty cabin boy is managing to stay off the crisps this morning. Ruben's just pointed out that I've been using head sail and mainsail interchangeably. Rubens, there's a ferry coming, my boy. You need to head a little bit more to port. So yes, obviously we're talking about the mainsail here. But yeah, so this is a nice lazy day. It's 1:15. The plan today is to head up to Hamble, go put 11 Point back on her mooring, and then my cousin's coming over with some friends to watch the Bournemouth Airshow tomorrow. And we're going to head over to Poole, over to John Seagull, and then head out with people. So yeah, that's the plan for today. We've got a few things I want to take off off Leven Point as well that I've been missing on John Seagull. Paddle boards, and that's it. 4 paddle boards in fact. And one needs to live in the car, but yeah, so take those off because we didn't have them for the kids' holidays and various things, and it's nice to have them in Poole because it's a much nicer place to go paddle boarding than out here. Hey Sky! Sky! Where's my dog? Are you hungry? You hungry? No? Hungry? Your food's right there. So the kids are comparing. Ruben steady. Kids are comparing who's done the best bouncing. So anyway, so that
I have.
yes, Ruben has. So anyway, so that experimenting yesterday with the flying a mainsail without a boom turns out is not actually so revolutionary. There's loads of people that do that. In fact, Warham, the catamarans, I think they. I don't know how noisy that is in the background, hopefully not too noisy. So apparently they do it as well. So they're actually designed to do that. They don't use booms. So anyway, so this is one of the little girls who came sailing with us today for the Bournemouth Airshow. So the daughter of one of my guests. A little 5-year-old, but she's super precocious and pretty smart actually. She'll make a good crew member one day. But yeah, so that video about the flying without a boom, if your gooseneck fails, for example, hopefully that gives you an idea that all is not lost. So if you lose the integrity of your boom at sea and all you got is your mast standing, your boom is off to the side, there is a way that you can actually fly your main without needing your boom in the first place. Ideally on a sloop, your clue would be attached further aft, but you can do it. If you're way off to sea, you'd probably be going downwind anyway. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave us a comment, subscribe, like, all that kind of stuff, and yeah, to show me pictures of whether you've ever flown your mainsail without a boom. That spot there, right in front of the mast, that's my absolute favourite place to sit. The other place I sit is in the companionway, but they say that that's an admiral's chair. There's only 2 people that sit there, and that's the admiral or an arsehole. And if you're not an admiral, then you know where you are, right? But yeah, that's a beautiful place to sit. You see why? Let there be no question whatsoever. Especially when the autopilot's going, and you can sit up here. Absolutely awesome sit up here, leaning against the spinnaker poles up against the mast. There's 2 of them, so it's sort of nice and flat against your back. Even without the cushion, it's comfortable. those guys are having a rip-roaring time, and I must say I'm quite liking it actually. It's nice to have entertainment provided from elsewhere rather than me trying to cobble together a playlist. I can blame them for shit music, but actually, as it happens, this rock music is quite nice. It's absolutely beautiful day today. So yeah, so today has been no sailing. Well, I lie, we sailed in here. There was about 6-7 knots of wind. We managed to limp our way in here, just missed the jets, the typhoon. We missed the Lancaster and the Spitfire, but at 7 o'clock there's sunset dusk display, so we'll see the Spitfire and the typhoon again. So I might actually pick up the hook and go closer to the edge of the exclusion zone. If we can get there, then we get a bit more of the Spitfire coming over us. Not 100% sure how much we'll see sat here, but it's nice nevertheless. It's nice not to have to pick up the hook. I might just stay here. So yeah, so these days are really good. You can't really beat these late summer's day. Absolutely gorgeous. The jet skiers are out there, but yeah, I suppose everybody's allowed to have fun in their own right, in their own way. But yeah, absolutely awesome day. We've got some nice people that have come and sailed with us. Going to watch the final bit of the show. We probably won't stick around for the pyrotechnics display as part of the final bit of the air show. Certainly won't stick around for the fireworks display because that's 10 p.m. We'd like to get back, but yeah, it's certainly very nice in here in the sun. Can you see what I can see? The camera just doesn't pick it up. You can see plenty actually. It's a nice thing about having the industrial lights behind us. You can actually see plenty of the boats on the side here. It's quite a long line of white boats, which is quite nice to see.